Who is the best right now?
The best? A gentleman from Detroit. Gerald McClellan? He's a beast. Even by the brutal standards of 90s boxing, Gerald McClellan's punching power was unmatched. Gifted with the ability to knock out with both hands and a record-breaking percentage of first-round KOs. Was the model of a perfect knockout artist. But the middleweight boxing star's illustrious career collapsed just as quickly and dramatically as it had initially risen, and just as irreversibly. Today, we'll fondly remember the truly epic battles, the sheer beauty.
And also,
the drama of the sport embodied in Gerald McClellan. The town of Freeport in the state of Illinois is the birthplace of the designer of the heavy fighter Lockheed P-38. And also Gerald McClellan, who was born in October 1967 into a family with an alcoholic mother, a deadbeat father, and a bunch of brothers and sisters. Nevertheless, young Gerald would carve out a path to a better life through boxing. In 1987, he won the U.S. Amateur Championship, and in May 1988, he even defeated Roy Jones. Reportedly, it was the greatest fight in the amateur ring. However, it was Roy who, 3 months later, would go to the Olympics and return with a scandalous silver medal. Meanwhile, 20-year-old McClellan, after moving to the Kronk Gym in Detroit, ended up in the golden hands of Emanuel Stewart, who had raised dozens of champions. At that time, the career of his famous student, Tommy Hearns, was nearing its end. So the knockout factory needed fresh blood.
Despite his young age,
Gerald was already showing a solid jab in his early fights.
using the now forgotten
feint with a glance away.
After which,
he would catapult the chopping cross. He finished off his signature approach to the art of knockouts with a left hook from the side. In 8 months as a pro, none of his first 10 opponents lasted 5 minutes with him.
But
after twice going the full distance and losing on the judges' scorecards, McClellan never allowed his professional fights to drag on again. Putting absolutely everything he had into every single attack, he quickly developed an incredibly ultra-aggressive fighting style. A desperate high guard was instantly punished by a piercing hook to the liver. Without distorting his fundamental stance, Gerald quickly earned comparisons to the formidable Mike Tyson, though as a skilled middleweight fighter under the expert guidance of Emanuel Stewart, he was more truly reminiscent of the legendary Thomas Hearns. With an almost 2-meter reach, McClellan battered defenses with a barrage of shots to every level.
And
hid the next detonations behind his jabs. The doomed opponents never saw the funeral notice coming. That's why Gerald's tally of knockouts quickly swelled. The double jab with a cross, commonly called the postman, would lull another dozen recipients to sleep. So Gerald, with the laconic nickname G-Man, reached the title path in just 3 years. Sammy Brooks served as the final test, but even his vintage mustache couldn't protect him from the serial stitching on the body. Brooks are like ace. In the ring, only the Raider was eager for the bout to continue. forcing the stopwatch to tick down to the 2-minute mark.
See that he is another one? He's trying to play with Bobby Washington.
Gerald McClellan.
In the early 90s, despite the popularity of heavyweights, it was the middleweight class, up to 72 kilograms, that remained the hottest in boxing. After the Titan Marvin Hagler retired, and superstars Tommy Hearns and Ray Leonard moved up to another weight class, a scramble broke out for the vacant throne. Both seasoned veterans like Roberto Duran and Mike McCallum, as well as rising talents such as defensive master James Toney, were vying for the title.
And
The lightning-fast Roy Jones. Champions in prime across boxing organizations.
the speedy Michael Nunn, the cannon-fisted Julian Jackson.
Among the latter was John Mugabe, who was widely known as the Beast for his brutal and powerful knockouts. The imposing Ugandan native, after winning silver at the Moscow Olympics, consistently took heads off in the pros, racking up all 38 of his victories exclusively by knockout. Moreover, Mugabe was happy to dish out concussions with both hands. In November 1991, the Beast was supposed to challenge McClellan for the vacant WBO belt. In a brawl between two seasoned punchers, nobody was thinking about going the distance and winning on points. However, hardly anyone expected a knockdown in the first minute.
He's 138 centimeters, and he's looking for the right hand from McClellan.
Mugabe is searching, and
A stunned Mugabe got back up and kept taking clean shots from Vazovi with his guard wide open. Gerald's real straight right hand kept whistling past his chin. It was that very punch that decided the outcome of the fight within the round.
The form of the world-lived middleweight champion.
Not at his best against an elite boxer. The 24-year-old champion accepted congratulations from his coach and instantly became the division's new boogeyman. However, back then, the WBO belt didn't carry much weight. That's why in 1992, McClellan made sure to secure contender status along the prestigious WBC line. He kept using his winning formula of stair-step combinations. Gerald knocked out all the butterflies in his opponents with his lead hand. After that, he would unleash his attacks, hammering down like a blacksmith's sledge. None of the next three opponents even made it through the first round. G-Man would maniacally pierce through any guard with his jab. Laying the groundwork for his crushing 1-2.
Landing punches so hard their great-grandkids would feel dizzy, McClellan quickly earned himself another title shot.
There are a lot of middleweights here. Of course, I'm not going to pick from among them. They're all good. But there's one guy I'd really like to fight. He's always trying to provoke me. I think he saw this fight. I want him to give me a shot at the ABF belt. It's worth noting that in 1990, the fighters were sparring at the Kronk Gym. At that time, Roy Jones and the aforementioned James Toney were both in the top 5 of the division. At top rankings was Hawk, Julian Jackson, WBC champion. Outside the ring, Jackson was quiet and God-fearing. But with a record of 46-1 and 43 knockouts, he didn't just knock people out. He struck fear into everyone around him.
And
While his powerful left hook possessed the ability to cure any lingering case of stubborn insomnia, his devastating right hand consistently left a growing pile of cooling bodies sprawled across the canvas, always making absolutely sure to meticulously show exactly where each of his formidable blows should decisively land. With the trophy for Best Knockout of 1990 in hand, the Hawk entered his bout with McClellan in May of '93, ranked among the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters, and had already landed at 25th place on the list of the hardest punchers in boxing history. The duelists, like Malevics, tested their grips in the opening seconds. Those kinds of shots would have been enough to take out 3 ordinary fighters.
finally,
McClellan had met an opponent who could give him a real fight.
Jackson. He came in very calmly, but here he is. He's attacking, and so is Jackson. And Jackson.
In the second round, Jackson looked more precise in his exchanges.
With his jabs.
Lightly.
Dodging the right hand.
He
Effectively countered the attacks, completely forcing Gerald to really work on defense in a way he wasn't quite used to at all.
And
Escaped into the clinch.
Gerald looked scary.
But by the break, G-Man still managed to catch him on the chin.
And
He steadily and effectively adapted to the opponent's relentless and varied attacks, while simultaneously and skillfully establishing his own powerful, precise, and consistently well-placed jab with the dominant lead hand. McClellan also passed the chin crash test.
and they actually truly started to begin
Bringing more and more chaos.
into the fight.
Boldly closing the distance and blocking the view.
he
Provoked the fall of the Black Hawk.
for now.
It was just a test run.
And
The fourth round, Gerald landed his signature combo
was impressed.
by the effectiveness of feints from different stances. Jackson, who had lost his composure,
Could no longer really effectively at all.
keep up with the incredibly springy challenger and consequently resorted to illegal moves.
This is Gerald McClellan.
Fortunately, the attentive referee checked everything thoroughly.
And McClellan.
Didn't refuse the persistent champion's wish to find out who really had the heavier punch. Julian's heroic comeback didn't affect the outcome.
After successfully sending the Hawk into a dramatic nosedive with a couple of well-aimed rocks, the 25-year-old Gerald triumphantly celebrated his biggest and most significant victory in Korea.
As true old-school gladiators do, the fighters shook hands after the match, and Emmanuel Stewart even gave his opponent a friendly hug during the interview. It seemed like after those 2 low blows, you were weakened. He weakened me with a bunch of other punches. Julian is a tough guy. I give him credit for that. Today you felt what your 43 opponents experienced in the ring with you. Surprised? Yeah, I'm surprised. I caught him too, but he clipped me with a great shot. Julian hits really hard. My head is going to be pounding. I might not be able to sleep for a few days.
Thank you.
3 months later, Gerald went into title defense against Jay Abel. Record of 17-1 with 16 knockouts. What seemed like an ordinary fight was anything but. A one-act performance fit into 20 seconds, and it became the fastest knockout in middleweight title fight history. Tommy Hearns and everyone else. Where does this gentleman stand? He has the potential to become my best student. I always tell people that his best punch is the body shot, but it will be hard for him to have many long fights, because he not only hits hard, but also accurately. The talented Lomar Parks, with the poetic nickname Little Flame, was supposed to show the champion what he was made of. His bout with McClellan was cancelled at the last minute when Parks tested HIV positive. Gilbert Beatcast, who stepped in as a replacement, went down at the start and
could no longer continue to sustain their former status or condition, as circumstances had significantly shifted.
Keep his balance.
In
94, a rematch with Julian Jackson was scheduled. The Hawk had rehabilitated in the meantime with 3 wins. However, McClellan killed the intrigue right away with a double in his debut.
And
rushed into pound away. A well-aimed hook at the meeting, and he started to bleed. Gerald managed to fit 3 world title defenses into a total of 200 seconds, an unbelievable record that God himself never saw before or since. And in every case, a body shot was the key to his success. They'll put you in second place on the list of the best, regardless of weight class. Meanwhile, just like with any popular figure, an army of hangers-on formed around Gerald, all wanting a piece of the fame. And the fighter believed them. He didn't want to split his purse anymore and got rid of his trainer, Emmanuel Stewart. Gerald and I parted ways because he was convinced he could manage without a coach. I don't even want to talk about this topic. He dumped me, even though I did a lot for him. On paper, the new coach was Stan Johnson, who was not taken seriously by everyone. Are you still wearing the cap?
Yes.
She's like a trademark, like Don King. Gerald would knock her down when he was working the paws. Yes, and he also knocked out my front teeth, but he paid for them. Some people said he did it on purpose. There was something else that only came to light years later.
Hi.
Have pit bulls, I see myself in them. A really aggressive breed. Unfortunately, McClellan loved not only pit bulls, but also dog fighting, a vile pastime banned throughout the civilized world. The newly minted trainer, Stan Johnson, whose statement's credibility is up for debate, shared a lot of disgusting details about Gerald's methods for training his fighting dogs. What is known for sure is that McClellan had a favorite dog named Deuce, and this tattoo is proudly displayed on the boxer's arm. One day, another dog tore him apart. Gerald, sobbing in the back seat of a Mercedes covered in blood, was stitching up his wounded pet, saying, "I'm never doing this shit again." Why did I even get involved in this? The boxing world, by the end of 1994, James Toney and Roy Jones moved up to super middleweight 76 kilograms. McClellan, refocused, was left behind by the three, and he followed. Given his credentials, Gerald was immediately matched with the WBC champion, Nigel Benn. His outward technical awkwardness, the fired-up Brit made up for it a bit with his explosive personality and heavy punches.
And that's with the jig sack. I never.
Back down, it was all brawls and slugfests. Benn, nicknamed the Dark Destroyer, 39 wins, 32 knockouts, and was on a streak of 6 defenses of the prestigious title. On February 25, 1995, Gerald, as the challenger, crossed the ocean straight into the champion's lair in London to take the belt right in front of a foreign crowd. He didn't want to win. He wanted to kill Nigel Benn. The opening exchanges, Nigel, as usual, crouched low into the so-called crouch position, which was fatal against the chopping machete-like blows from G-Man.
Already.
35-second mark. After unleashing flurry of punches, he closed distance to take control. However, after being saved by the ropes, Ben returned to the battlefield just in time,
With the count.
clinging to his life.
Not without.
The help of a rather generous referee.
The champion
Endured a carpet bombing of punches
and dared
to launch counterattacks.
After.
Taking a hit, Gerald suspiciously grabbed the back of his head.
And.
Nigel, with relentless bobbing and weaving, waited for the saving bell.
In the
Second round, he found his rhythm.
creating
Openings for powerful attacks with his evasive movements. Ben didn't forget to give him a slap on the back of his head,
fully.
turning a seemingly doomed duel around. A limp Gerald, without a working jab, missed a lot.
and then slowly and deliberately swallowed it down completely, entirely and thoroughly, with some effort.
Uppercuts.
Only.
In the third, Jamin began to respond in the clinch and recognizably prepare.
You are right. That's the way it works.
Then he started having problems with his mouth guard, as turned out was early symptom of brain injury.
Why?
The midpoint of the London brawl, passions were still running high with fierce exchanges from both sides.
But
The Brit had the advantage. Thundering swings easily found the head of the challenger, who wasn't used to that style.
at the same time,
McClellan would at times
Transform.
and
uncharacteristically switch stances, to which Ben responded with dirty tactics, aided by a blind referee. Nothing stopped the champion from hitting both to the back of the head.
And
After
the bell at some specific and precise moment in time.
point, the mouthguard flew out.
Which, just to put it simply, break time equals 0.5s/.
Wouldn't stay in his jaw at all.
Despite
All the difficulties, Gerald remembered his main weapon and finally focused on the body. By the 7th round, things started to look up for him.
but
Nigel's fiery hooks were still landing.
as were
The constant blows to the forbidden.
zone.
For the first time in his career, Jimenez's face was twisted in pain.
A kappa, I don't know what that is, but.
McClellan paid his opponent back in kind.
And then, in the 8th round,
With his mouthguard slipping out, he rushed toward the finish.
In the cauldron,
Of violence
Gerald
opened up holes in the body,
then
broke through the champion's defenses. The battered Nigel got back on his feet and once again didn't let himself be finished all. In the 9th, the Dark Destroyer hungrily took a bunch
of right hands.
and answered back with legitimate single shots.
With
Dirty shots to the back of the head.
he threw in
For variety, a headbutt while flying in.
not happy, not happy.
The champion put Gerald in a position that was unusual for him. The referee was from France, which explains a lot. He only responded to the dirty play with a single verbal warning. Although, it didn't affect the flow of the fight at all.
In that
10th, McClellan was ahead on the judges' scorecards. My facial tic got noticeably worse. At the same time, somehow the fighter managed to stay light on his feet. Ben, as usual, responded with his signature combo. A hook to the head. An uppercut to the back of the head. Gerald got up with difficulty. It would have been easy for the champion to repeat the fatal combination.
Five.
for now.
While Ben was celebrating on the ropes, McClellan was struggling with facial spasms.
That
Night, the referee should have been thrown into a cell with Tyson for re-education.
And it was magnificent.
G-Man made it to his corner on his own, where he finally collapsed. I was shooting him from above. He looked at me and said, "I have a feeling there will be movement in my head."
Fact. Fight with
Nigel Benn. I realized that it was complete chaos. Gerald regained consciousness for minutes while being taken to intensive care. Then, like Nigel Benn, he didn't make it to the locker room. In the end, Nigel got away with just some bruises. What do you think about Gerald's condition? I'm sorry, but better him than me. But something irreversible happened to 27-year-old Gerald. The fighter had severe brain swelling. An emergency operation to remove the hematoma by opening the skull saved his life, but left him permanently disabled. Gerald spent several days in a coma. He became completely blind, partially lost his hearing and his ability to think clearly.
What color do you want? What color do you want your plastic gun to be?
He requires round-the-clock care.
I'm right behind you, Gerald.
For the past 30 years, one of the most brutal knockout artists in history has been under the full care of his sisters, especially Lisa. All these years, she has been helping her brother with daily tasks and taking care of his treatment. At the same time, she never blames boxing. Millions of people are involved in it, and no one is immune to accidents in any field of activity. Boxing gave Gerald a life he would never have had without sports. And boxing took away the life he had before. In 2007, Nigel Benn thoughtfully organized a grand gala event to raise much-needed money for a former rival. 12 years after that truly fateful night, the two fighters met again. Lisa, we are in London. Where is Nigel? Yes, it is indeed his, Nigel Benn. Ben Lon, these last 12 long years have been tormenting me. That guy almost took my life. Do you think Nigel regrets it? Absolutely. I realized that I affected not only him, but his whole family. Ben raised $250,000 for Gerald. We managed to put an end to all the resentment. In 2021, Lisa Jordan McClellan, a dedicated advocate, launched a significant fund to actively help boxers suffering from severe brain injuries and successfully brought in many leading medical specialists in this important field. We are currently helping one of your truly favorite fighters, Gerald McClellan. Recently, his sister Lisa reached out to me. We diagnosed him with hormonal deficiency and prescribed treatment. In just 4 months, he has gotten much better. Now, at 57 years old, the boxer is even taking care of his grandchildren. Gerald McClellan was unstoppable in the ring. With 29 knockouts as a pro, 28 of which all came within 3 rounds.
Dynamic.
Music. J-Man had everything it took to become the greatest puncher in the history of the sport. Dewey is going to show off. But moral flaws indeed outside the ropes may have caused fortune to turn quite away from him. Everyone around him disappeared, but fortunately, a truly close person remained. I want to ask you a personal question. You knocked him out of the ring in the first round. With your right hand? Yes. Did I beat him? You went down on one knee because he hit you with his head. Did he do it on purpose? Listen, he kept hitting the back of my head and the referee didn't stop it. How could he hit me there if I wasn't turning my back? Like this? Like this? Yes. Why? I don't know. Every time, what interests him most is who won that fight. I always tell him that he absolutely did do that, without a doubt, every single time, yes.